Welcome, everyone. I'm excited to kick off today's presentation with a fascinating story. The Book That Saved the Earth. This is the title of our talk. We'll explore an incredible book with a powerful message. Throughout this session, we'll uncover how a simple idea made a huge difference. So, let's dive in and discover this inspiring story together. Let's take a moment to look at the contents of this slide. Here, we see a list of key topics that will guide our presentation. Starting with number 20, we will explore the justification of the title of the play, The Book That Saved the Earth, delving into why this title is fitting and what it signifies. Moving to number 16, we'll discuss the further developments in the story, helping us understand how the plot unfolds and evolves. Number 12 introduces us to the historian, a character who provides valuable perspective and context within the play. At number 8, we have Scene 2, which indicates a specific part of the story that we'll focus on. Number 4 presents a new word meaning, which helps us expand our vocabulary and better understand the play's language. Next, number 19 introduces us to Apprentice Noodle, a character who plays a significant role. Number 15 highlights additional points that complement our understanding. Moving on, number 11 refers to the invasion fleet, a crucial element in the story's conflict. Number 7 points to Mars space control, setting the scene in space and adding a sci-fi dimension. Number 3 covers the characters, giving us an overview of who's involved in the play. Further, number 22 encourages us to read and find out more, implying there's an engaging story to discover. Number 18 offers a character sketch of the great and mighty think tank, helping us understand important figures. Number 21 marks the conclusion of the invasion, wrapping up the story's main conflict. Number 14 reminds us of the points to remember, reinforcing key lessons. Number 10 discusses what happens after consuming vitamins, which might relate to health or a plot point. Number 17 wraps up with the conclusion of the story itself. Number 6 again refers to the historian, emphasizing its importance. Number 2 introduces us to the lesson or play overall, giving us context. Number 13 talks about the Earthlings, likely the protagonists or those affected by the events. Number 9 reintroduces Apprentice Noodle, suggesting a focus on this character's role. Number 5 sets the scene with the prologue, giving background before the story begins. Finally, number 1 is about the author, providing us with context about who created this work. Altogether, this slide outlines the journey we'll take through the story, characters, key points, and themes. It's designed to help us understand the play's message and its relevance today. Let's talk about Claire, a remarkable figure in children's literature. She penned over 70 children's plays, showcasing her incredible dedication and creativity in engaging young audiences. Claire was born on May 17, 1925 in the United States, and she lived a long, impactful life until her passing on April 12, 2019. Throughout her career, she created many beloved works, including plays and programs for boys and girls, The Cry-Baby Princess, and The Book That Saved the Earth, among others. These titles highlight her talent for blending imagination with important messages. She is well known as a famous author of children's books, and her contributions continue to inspire both young readers and aspiring writers today. Her life and work are truly a testament to the power of storytelling in shaping children's minds and hearts. Today, I want to share a fascinating story called The Book That Saved the Earth. It's about a special book of nursery rhymes called The Mother Goose. But what makes this story really interesting is that this humble collection of rhymes is depicted as the hero that saved the Earth from an alien attack. This story highlights how something as simple and familiar as nursery rhymes can play a crucial role in unexpected ways. It reminds us that even small, seemingly ordinary things can have extraordinary impacts. Connecting to our overall theme, this story encourages us to see value and potential in everyday objects and knowledge. It's a fun and engaging way to think about how creativity and imagination can help solve big problems. All right, let's take a closer look at the characters in our story. As you can see, we have a diverse set of characters, each with their own unique roles. Offstage voice represents the narration or background commentary, guiding us through the scene. Sergeant Oop, with his distinctive number 6, is likely a central figure, perhaps a seasoned member of the team. Captain Omega and Lieutenant Yoda, numbered 7 and 4 respectively, suggest leadership roles, one possibly commanding, the other supporting. Then we have the great and mighty think tank, symbolizing the collective intelligence or problem-solving group, and Apprentice Noodle, probably a newcomer or learner, adding a touch of humor or humility. Lastly, the historian, numbered 1, reminds us of the importance of memory and context in our story. Together, these characters help illustrate the diverse roles and personalities that come together to achieve a common goal, which ties into our overall theme of teamwork and collaboration. When we look at these words, many of them evoke a sense of something small, trivial, or perhaps uncertain. Words like insignificant and trifling suggest something that might seem unimportant or minor. Then we have doubtfully and dubiously, which introduce an element of uncertainty or suspicion. These words point to the idea that not everything is clear or controlled by humans. Speaking of control, controlled by man and manned highlight human involvement or oversight, but when we see words like moving, ancient, and twirling, they paint a picture of something dynamic and timeless. Primitive and people of the earth remind us of early humans or ancient civilizations, emphasizing our long history. The phrase earthling is a simple but powerful term for humans, and silent acting or pantomimes suggest communication without words, using gestures rather than speech. This ties into the idea of silent, almost subconscious actions, like an attack or invasion, which could symbolize conflict or intrusion, often occurring beneath the surface. Then we see words like very brave, strong, and mighty, which remind us of strength and resilience, often attributed to those defending their territory or standing firm. Finally, illegible writing or markings and squiggles bring to mind something uncertain or obscure, marks that might be hard to read or interpret, much like ancient cave paintings or early symbols. Overall, these words connect to the theme of early human expression and communication, sometimes simple, sometimes ambiguous, but always foundational to our understanding of history and interaction. They remind us that much of our past was about basic survival, silent gestures, and mysterious markings that laid the groundwork for more complex forms of expression. Welcome to the Museum of Ancient History, specifically to the Department of the 20th Century on planet Earth. Now, let's imagine we are in the 25th century, a time far beyond our present. The title of today's story is The Book That Saved the Earth, which is actually written as a play. This might sound unusual at first. How can a play be a tool to save the planet? Well, that's part of what we're exploring. We're starting with the prologue scene, which sets the stage for this extraordinary story. Interestingly, the story involves Mother Goose, a name many of us associate with nursery rhymes in English. These rhymes are simple, familiar, and often playful, but the question posed here is quite intriguing. Could such a humble childhood book possibly help save Earth from a Martian invasion? As we read through this play, think about the core message. It's about the power of stories, the importance of cultural symbols, and how sometimes the most unexpected tools can become heroes in extraordinary circumstances. This scene will help us understand how a seemingly innocent collection of nursery rhymes could play a pivotal role in a cosmic conflict, tying into our broader theme of the unexpected ways storytelling and tradition can influence the future. Welcome, everyone. Today, I invite you to imagine stepping into the Museum of Ancient History, but with a twist. This museum is set in the 25th century. As the historian, I'd like to share a fascinating story with you. In 2040, a single book played a crucial role in saving Earth from a Martian invasion. It's incredible to think that something as simple as a book could have such a profound impact. This story highlights the enduring significance of books throughout history and even into the future. It reminds us that knowledge, stories, and information contained in books are powerful tools that can influence, inspire, and potentially save us in times of crisis. So, as we explore this museum, remember that the written word has always been a vital part of our history and our survival. Now, turning our attention to Mars Space Control, Let's explore this crucial aspect of the story. Here, we see that the great and mighty think tank commander-in-chief, who is portrayed as the most powerful and intelligent creature, has issued a bold order. This commander, who rules over Mars, has decided to invade Earth, highlighting the strategic importance of Mars in this narrative. What's particularly interesting is the way the think tank describes the Martians. It calls them a handsome race, emphasizing their attractiveness compared to Earthlings, who are described as having tiny heads and being less appealing. This contrast not only adds a humorous tone, but also underscores the idea that appearances and perceptions play a role in this story. Connecting this to the overall theme, it's about the power dynamics and perceptions between different worlds and species. The Mars Space Control, as part of this, acts as the command hub that orchestrates these grand plans. It's a reminder that behind every mission or invasion, there's strategic control and a set of perceptions shaping the narrative. So, in essence, Mars Space Control is the nerve center that directs the invasion, driven by the commanding figure's perceptions and decisions. It's a fascinating look at how authority and appearance influence interplanetary relationships in this imaginative story. So, in this scene, Think Tank takes a close look at those books and humorously calls them a sandwich. Now, sandwiches are actually the main staple of the Earth diet, which highlights how common and essential they are for humans. He then orders his crew to eat these books, treating them as if they were actual food. When Oop finally tastes one, he quickly realizes it's not very tasty at all. He describes it as being dry, like Martian dust, which really emphasizes how unappetizing they are. He also wonders how Earthlings manage to swallow these dry sandwiches without any water, highlighting the difference between their eating habits and what we might consider normal. Moving on, Captain Omega, Lieutenant Yoda, and Sergeant Oop arrive at the Centerville Public Library in Earth, but they're quite perplexed. They don't understand where they are because everything around them, these books, are unfamiliar. They see shelves full of books but can't quite recognize what they're looking at. This scene underscores their unfamiliarity with human culture and the challenge of understanding Earth's everyday surroundings. It's a humorous yet insightful moment that connects to our broader theme of exploring and understanding new worlds through their lens. Now, here on slide 11, we see what looks like pictures of Earthlings. Omega is picking up a very large volume of something called Mother Goose. It seems to contain images of Earthlings, but they can't understand the little lines, squiggles, dots, or pictures inside. It's as if the content is there, but the meaning is lost to them. Noodle then suggests that perhaps space people could benefit from vitamins to boost their intelligence, maybe making sense of these complex symbols. But interestingly, Captain Omega doesn't hear any of this. It's like he's not tuned in or maybe not paying attention. Noodle then points out that the Earthlings didn't listen to the sandwiches. These are actually books. Instead of listening, they opened them up and watched the pictures. Think Tank jumps in to clarify that these aren't for ear communication, but for eye communication, so the books are meant to be looked at, not listened to. He then asks Captain Omega to focus on the large, colorful sandwich that looks particularly important. It's possibly a key piece of information or communication device. Meanwhile, Noodle, who's still a trainee under Think Tank, mentions that he's seen surveyor films of these sandwiches. Interestingly, Earthlings didn't eat them. Instead, they used them as a kind of communication tool, almost like a visual language. Finally, Think Tank orders everyone to listen to the communication device. This highlights how important it is to understand the different ways Earthlings communicate, whether through pictures, books, or specialized devices. This slide reminds us that communication isn't always straightforward, and understanding the context and method is crucial when interpreting alien signals or behaviors. Now, let's delve into what the think tank is interpreting from the rhyme. It suggests that the Earthlings have achieved a remarkably high level of civilization. They've managed to teach their domesticated animals, including dogs, musical culture, and even space techniques. Imagine that, dogs with a sense of humor and space skills. It's quite fascinating, and it hints at their advanced developmental stage. There's even a playful suspicion that they might be planning an interplanetary invasion, which adds a layer of intrigue to their technological and cultural progress. Moving on, Yoda takes a different approach. They read out the rhyme, "Hey diddle diddle," and interpret it in their own unique way. They believe that the Earthlings have discovered how to combine agriculture with mining, meaning they can grow crops of rare metals and even produce high explosives through their farming techniques. This suggests a blend of resourcefulness and technological prowess, showing how their civilization is capable of harnessing natural resources in innovative ways. Finally, it's worth noting that the crew is capable of understanding nursery rhymes, which are often associated with early childhood. Omega reads one with great seriousness, emphasizing the importance of cultural exchange and understanding. This ability to interpret even simple nursery rhymes indicates a significant level of intelligence and curiosity on the crew's part, which ties back to our overall theme of exploring and understanding alien civilizations at different stages of development. Now he asks Noodle to prepare a space capsule for him so he can make his escape. He also gives the order for the Martian fleet to evacuate Mars, and he decides to flee far away, specifically to Alpha Centauri, which is 100 million miles away, to get away from the Earthlings. Next, Oop turns the large picture of Humpty Dumpty towards Think Tank and the audience. After looking at the picture, Think Tank quickly realizes that the Earthlings have seen him. The phrase, "had a great fall," suggests that they're planning to capture Mars' central control in him, just like Humpty Dumpty fell off the wall and couldn't be put back together again. So Think Tank orders the invasion fleet to stand down, telling them there will be no invasion today. And then, Oop reads the next line of the rhyme, "Humpty Dumpty sat on the wall," which ties back to the idea of a fall and the danger therein. This part of the story highlights the tension between the Martians and Earthlings, as well as the clever way they're using familiar stories to communicate and strategize. It's a reminder of how storytelling can be a powerful tool in understanding and navigating conflict. And so, it was a simple, dusty old book of nursery rhymes called Mother Goose that ended up saving the world from a Martian invasion. Can you imagine that? A collection of children's stories and rhymes, overlooked by many, became the key to peace. After that, Earthlings re-established contact with Mars, and surprisingly, the relationship turned very friendly. It's a reminder that sometimes the smallest things can have the biggest impact. And instead of the great and mighty think tank, we now have the wise and wonderful man, Noodle, leading us forward. It's a perfect example of how humility and wisdom often replace arrogance in the face of real challenges. So here's an interesting twist in our story. The Earthlings, with their curiosity and kindness, actually taught the Martians the difference between sandwiches and books. Yes, they introduced them to human culture through these simple but meaningful concepts. They even went a step further by establishing a model library right in the heart of Marsopolis, the Martian capital. This shows how eager the Earthlings were to share knowledge and foster understanding. But despite all this, there's one book that the Martians just can't bring themselves to read. And that's quite fascinating, isn't it? Have you guessed what it might be? Mother Goose. Yes, Mother Goose. Even with all their openness and learning, somehow, the stories or perhaps the style of Mother Goose are just too much for them. This little detail highlights how cultural differences and perceptions can remain strong, even in a universe where communication and exchange are possible. It reminds us that understanding isn't just about sharing information, but also about respecting what might be unfamiliar or even uncomfortable. Now, let's focus on the key points from this slide. First, we see that the great and mighty think tank is portrayed as the commander-in-chief and ruler of Mars. This highlights the central role of leadership and authority in this futuristic setting. Next, he's greeted by apprentice Noodle, which emphasizes the hierarchy and perhaps the mentorship or apprenticeship dynamic that exists in this universe. The think tank's plan to put Earth under his control is a crucial plot point. It shows a desire for power and explores themes of dominance and control in a sci-fi context. Remember, this scene is part of a play set in the 25th century, which underscores the futuristic and imaginative nature of the story. The overall importance of the book that saved Earth is also highlighted here. It's not just any story, It's a unique narrative that combines futurism with fun and mystery. This book serves as a vital element, connecting the themes of innovation, adventure, and the importance of storytelling in shaping our future. So, in essence, this slide reminds us of the power dynamics, the importance of leadership, and the role of storytelling in inspiring and informing future generations. These points are all interconnected and reinforce the overall theme of exploring the future through creative and compelling narratives. So, here we see Iota and Omega being instructed to eat the sandwich. It's a simple task, but it sets the stage for some interesting reactions. Finally, Oop takes a taste and quickly realizes that it's not very delicious at all. This moment highlights how perceptions can differ, even among these characters. Then we see Captain Omega, Lieutenant Yoda, and Sergeant Oop arriving on Earth. Their arrival marks a new chapter in their adventure, bringing fresh perspectives and challenges. Earlier, the think tank from Mars misinterpreted a book, thinking it was just a crude form of refreshment, calling it a sandwich. This misinterpretation shows how unfamiliarity can lead to misunderstandings, especially when trying to interpret human objects or concepts. And finally, their plans were disrupted when Lieutenant Yoda was caught scanning books in a bookcase. This unexpected interruption shows how curiosity and exploration can sometimes clash with set plans or routines. Overall, this slide emphasizes the importance of perception, misinterpretation, and the surprises that come with exploration, key themes that run throughout our story. Now, moving on to some intriguing developments. The think tank has reached a rather surprising conclusion. They believe that Earthlings are planning to attack them. This raises a lot of questions about misunderstandings and communication gaps between the two groups. It's a reminder of how important it is to interpret intentions carefully, especially in interspecies or intercivilization contexts. Meanwhile, Omega has been working on transcribing the code by taking vitamins, an interesting detail that hints at a unique method of decoding or perhaps a metaphor for nourishment and growth in understanding complex information. Omega also transcribed nursery rhymes, like Mistress Mary, Cat and the Fiddle, and Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. These nursery rhymes might seem simple, but they often carry deeper meanings or patterns that can be useful in deciphering more complex codes. Noodle, on the other hand, suggests that the book should be opened and understood. I think this symbolizes the need to delve deeper into the knowledge we have, to truly comprehend it rather than just skim the surface. These points connect back to our overall theme, the importance of interpretation, communication, and understanding in navigating intergalactic relations and mysteries. It's about moving beyond assumptions and engaging with the information at a deeper level to avoid conflicts and foster cooperation. And here we see the historian, looking very pleased indeed, because Earth has been saved, thanks to that dusty old book of nursery rhymes, Mother Goose. It's a funny but wonderful reminder that sometimes the simplest things can make the biggest difference. Next, Noodle, who's now become quite friendly with the Earth people, steps up as the new leader. It's great to see how alliances can change and grow through kindness and understanding. Meanwhile, the Earthlings teach the Martians a little about their culture, specifically, the difference between sandwiches and books. It's a fun moment that highlights how learning from each other can bridge worlds. Then, Think Tank gives some important orders. Noodle is to prepare a space capsule, and the Martians must evacuate Earth immediately. It's a reminder that sometimes tough decisions are necessary to ensure everyone's safety. Finally, Think Tank decides to migrate to Alpha Centauri, which is a staggering 100 million miles away from Mars. It's a huge leap, symbolizing hope and new beginnings for the future. And that wraps up our story. It's a tale about teamwork, understanding, and the importance of adaptation, key themes that remind us how resilience and kindness can truly save the day. Let's take a closer look at the character sketch of the great and the mighty Think Tank. Now, this character loves to be called the Great and the Mighty, which already shows his desire for power and recognition. He's someone who orders and commands, acting as the ruler of Mars, But interestingly, he has no real intelligence to back up his authority. He has some amusing misconceptions, like thinking books are sandwiches, quite a humorous detail that highlights his foolishness. He's wrong about almost everything, which is a key point to remember. Despite his supposed power, he demands that the crew obey him, but his actions reveal that he's more of a coward who only boasts about his strength. He's also the type to pass off others' ideas as his own, showing a lack of originality and integrity. Now, an interesting aspect is how he interprets old nursery rhymes. Instead of understanding them in their true context, he twists their meaning, and as a result, concludes that the people on Earth are actually more advanced and powerful than he is. This character helps us understand the theme of false bravado and the dangers of arrogance. It's important to see how his misunderstandings and overconfidence contrast with the reality of his limitations. This sketch of the think tank ties into the overall message about humility, wisdom, and the importance of genuine knowledge. Now let's talk about Apprentice Noodle, one of our key crew members in the invasion team. He's known as Noodle, but more specifically as Apprentice Noodle. His role is crucial because he acts as the coordinator between our think tank and the invasion team itself. Essentially, he's the bridge that makes sure our plans are executed smoothly. What's interesting about Noodle is how closely he echoes think tank in every manner. He's a very clever creature, and he understands that the commander-in-chief, which is think tank, must be obeyed without question. So you'll often hear him praising think tank, sometimes with a bit of sarcasm, but always showing his unwavering support. A particularly fascinating point about Noodle is his unique perspective on books. He considers them as sandwiches to eat. This might sound odd, but it highlights how he thinks differently about things, even if his ideas are sometimes taken over by think tank. For instance, Noodle was the only one who thought about books this way, but eventually, think tank adopted that idea as his own. And you know what? Noodle isn't upset about that at all. Despite his unconventional ideas, he remains a loyal follower of think tank, even if he's blind to some of the details. His loyalty and his role as a true follower really exemplify how some team members operate, dedicated, supportive, and always ready to follow the leader's lead. Let's explore the justification of the title, The Book That Saved the Earth. The title is quite significant because it directly reflects the central theme of the story. It highlights how a simple, seemingly innocent book of nursery rhymes played a crucial role in saving the planet. This connects to the broader idea that sometimes, even the smallest things can have a huge impact. The title also emphasizes the idea that a single, well-chosen element, like a book, can be pivotal in a story's plot. In this case, the nursery rhymes from Mother Goose became the unexpected hero, stopping the Martian invasion. This aligns with the overall theme of the presentation, which underscores the importance of themes, ideas, and traits of characters in storytelling. It shows us how a well-crafted title can capture the essence of the story and intrigue the audience. So, in essence, the title isn't just a label. It's a reflection of the story's core message and its imaginative twist. So, the moral of this part of the story is quite clear. It is totally incorrect to invade another country. This serves as a fundamental ethical lesson that underpins the entire narrative. Now, imagine the characters entering a library, but they're completely confused about what the books are or how to identify them. Instead of understanding the library's purpose, they grab vitamins, thinking these will boost their intelligence. Interestingly, this actually helps them read and understand the nursery rhymes from Mother Goose. However, things take a strange turn when the think tank, misinterpreting these rhymes, perceives them as threats not just to him, but to Mars itself. This misreading fuels his fear and panic. As a result, he calls back their probe, abandons his plans of invasion, and makes a swift escape. Instead of continuing their original mission, he takes his subjects on a daring journey to Alpha Centauri, which is about 100 million miles away from Mars. This conclusion highlights how misunderstandings and misinterpretations can escalate conflicts unnecessarily, and it emphasizes the importance of clear communication and ethical behavior. It ties back to the overall theme that aggression and invasion are not just wrong, but often based on flawed perceptions. Let's explore some of the intriguing questions raised in this slide. First, why did Think Tank wish to contact Space Probe? Well, they saw it as a crucial step in understanding what was happening beyond Earth, especially since the space probe might carry valuable information or signals from other parts of the universe. Next, who tried to invade the Earth in the 21st century? That was a significant concern, as it pointed to external threats or conflicts that could impact our planet's safety and stability. Moving on, what guesses did Think Tank make about the books found on Earth? They believed these books held important clues about human history, culture, and perhaps the mindset of humanity itself. Lastly, why was the 20th century called the era of the book? Because during that time, books became a primary means of knowledge sharing, cultural exchange, and preserving human ideas. Overall, these questions help us understand the importance of communication, the potential threats we face, and how human knowledge has evolved over time.